obsessed with the Connie Pheiff Show. It's about a lifestyle shift to move up or out.
Hey, what's your jam? What's the one thing that really drives you? What makes you unstoppable?
It's about opening a new door to live your dream.
People give up way too early on their dreams.
It's about enjoying the journey. It's about keeping it real.
Damn, now the interviewee is interviewing the interviewer. I like this.
It's all about you.
I knew there was something else I wanted to do. Stop taking shit so seriously. Y'all can do this. Take an outrageous look at life and laugh.
This is the Connie Pheiff Show.
We love your voice. We love your jam. You need to be on radio.
And now your host, Connie Pheiff.
Well, hello and welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show. I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. And remember, you want to share this show. This show is phenomenal. Make sure you're tagging us, letting people know that you love us, because we have some really exciting and amazing giveaways for you. We have autographed books from our guests. We have t-shirts. We have, oh my gosh, autographed like gift bags that you can walk the beach and carry your stuff in. So many phenomenal things, and also some really great things from today's guest as well. And you're going to learn more about that in just a minute. But make sure that you're sharing, because we love our loyal customers. You're coming back time again and again and again to learn. And what you're learning is all about that success, about turning that fame that you've had in your life and turning that into a thriving business. And today you're going to learn about how you can do that and do it with simplicity. Because our guest today, she's an international renowned author, simplicity expert. Simplicity expert. Now, I want you to really pay attention to this. She's a professional speaker, and she herself has spent over 2 decades as a high-powered, award-winning executive before she herself experienced a life-changing event that forced her to stop and ask the question, what if there's a better way? What if there's a better way to live? I mean, I know I've asked myself that over the many years of my career, and I'm sure that you're asking yourself the same exact question. Is there a better way to live? Do I need to continue going in the 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out? And it just gets chaotic. It's really, really gets crazy. But I want to welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show, Bronwen Sciortino, because she is really going to help you understand that there is a better way to live. So Bronwen, welcome to the show.
Morning. Well, good evening for you, Connie. It's good morning for me.
Yes.
I'm really, really, really delighted to be here and can't wait to see where our conversation is going to take us today.
Well, if anybody hasn't guessed already, with that little accent that she has, she's coming to us from Perth, all the way from Perth. So I'm in Los Angeles, so you can imagine we definitely have the time difference. And we're joking, that I'm stepping into the future by talking to her. So it's really interesting, the topic that you talk about, Bronwen, and it's all about simplicity. And even your keynote, keep it super simple, and all about simplicity. So, I mean, are you willing to open and share with our listeners? Because again, they're listening. They're doing the 9 to 5, or about now. A lot of them are doing their commute. And if you do commutes in LA, you know what I'm talking about. It could be really painful, and I'm sure many people are sitting there and they're listening and saying, "Oh my God, please, Bronwen, tell us, what is the better way to live?"
I think the really important thing to understand is that you're the only one that knows what the better way for you to live is. And I think part of the issue that we have in the way that we live at the moment is that we are so busy doing what everyone else tells us is the right thing for us. And what that does is over time just squashes us into a format that is so far from who we actually are that we get to the point where we find ourselves looking in the mirror. We can't look into our own eyes anymore because we're just afraid of what is actually going to be staring back at us. So when I talk to people, globally through all different formats, it's always about finding that way to empower the simple connection back to yourself. So you might be doing the commute every day.
Right.
What is there that you can do during that time? Because, that commute might take you to something that you actually love, but it's the commute part that drives you mad. So what can you do in that time frame? How can you do that a little bit differently that might actually make that so much easier for you to step into the place that you actually want to get to?
So many things there that that I'm hearing about, again, stepping into yourself to see what it is that you can be doing differently. What is that you can change? And I mean, I could just hear some people, saying, I have to do this. I have these responsibilities. I have to keep moving forward. I don't have time to stop and think about making a life-changing moment because I have all of these other things that are still going on in my life. So if you could just help them really by understanding that stuff over here will continue to happen, but how can they look at that differently?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things that we put in front of ourselves is this conditioning that we have that has taught us that to change is really hard. And I think part of the issue that I see a lot is that people believe that to change they have to throw out everything that they've got and start again from scratch. But actually, when you look at it, if you think about a compass, if you change the direction that you're heading just 1 degree on a compass, you'll end up somewhere completely different from where you're already heading. And so I think the really important thing with doing things differently is that you just find 1 or 2 little things that you can do really easily, and you break that down into 1 or 2 little things that you can do really easily.
Okay.
And then it doesn't become about this massive, overwhelming, thing in front of you that's going to be so hard and you can't even get your head around it. And it becomes just a simple, small step that you can take that just starts to move your life in a different way. And when you can actually chunk it down and do things in that simple form,
right,
it makes it so much easier for you to significantly change what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Wow. That's like going to the gym. I started boxing, believe it or not. I've been doing it, probably 3 months now. But yeah, I mean, I had to break it down step by step because it was totally a change to what I was doing in addition to lifestyle. I'm at the gym 4:00 in the morning now. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I do it. My husband was like, "You're insane." But you know what? It was just put 1 foot out of bed, in the morning, the other one will follow, and just go and do it. And of course, for me, health-wise, it's definitely has made a change. I'm just looking for that scale to change. That hasn't happened yet. but really, I mean, that is such great advice. It's like you said, it's not changing everything in your life. It's just taking those little steps, those little tweaks that will really simplify your life. Because sometimes, I think you might agree, sometimes we make things more difficult than they really are.
Well, if you think about the conditioning that we have, that conditioning teaches us that, life wasn't meant to be easy. You've got to work hard to get ahead. You've got to save for a rainy day.
Right.
All of these little sayings that have been fed to us over time, as we've grown up.
True.
We take those with us and use that as the structure for our life. So if you start to think about that a little bit differently and you start to add a question in that allows you to actually consciously create the answer that you want instead of just acting on autopilot and being driven by this conditioning that we have, you can start to say, what if life was meant to be easy? What would my life look like if life was meant to be easy? What could I do a little bit differently if my life was meant to be easy? And then you'll start to catch yourself in those situations where, if you've got a situation and life really is easy, Often we can actually go, hang on, this is too easy. It's supposed to be really hard. What am I supposed to be doing differently? And you'll find yourself going back and creating a complexity because life was meant to be difficult.
Yeah, because you say, wait a minute, this is supposed to be hard. I'm doing something wrong.
That's right. Exactly. Whereas it's about catching yourself and just going, wow, this is really easy. That's amazing. Yeah. How can I have more of this? It's about just changing tiny little steps and changing the way that you actually walk in the world.
You know, what you said about, you know, we're groomed and this is where we were meant to be. And I agree. I mean, I groomed myself to go be in corporate. I mean, I've went to college and said I was going to be an executive. I was going to be in corporate. And I did. I got there 12 years ago when the organization merged and realigned itself. As CEO, I was no longer needed. I lost my identity with that. Yeah. I mean, I was crushed. I was just crushed with it. But like you said, part of me felt that I failed.
Yeah,
I was a failure because I lost this position. And it was a really tough learning for me to get over that and say, you didn't fail. And I learned to turn that around and take that as a gift because I was able then to go back and evaluate what I did know and where my strengths were and take those strengths and use that for something else. So it's really hard for people to do that, to change. And you're talking about creating those life-changing experiences. And sometimes those experiences happen, and like you were in corporate yourself, that force us to make that change. And unfortunately, some people don't come out of that to take that next step forward. But if people are able to look at it and using, you know, the words that you're saying, you know, take those small baby steps, and it'll make a difference in your world every day in creating that simplicity.
I think it's really important too to actually make the statement that corporate's not the enemy. So yes, you know, I spent nearly 2 decades in corporate. Yes, I now do something very different off the back of a life-changing event.
Right.
But I could quite easily have learnt everything I'd learnt and taken that back into corporate. It's just not where my path unfolded in front of me.
Right.
So I think it's really important to understand that one of the ways that we've been conditioned is to actually point the finger outside ourselves for all that might be to blame. Right. You know, so corporate is has such a necessary role in the universe globally. You know, it's not the enemy, and there are very totally amazing career paths within corporate.
Yes.
I think it's really important that people understand that you don't have to leave the corporate world to still be able to actually change the way you are within that and the way that you can actually foster and grow your health and well-being within that environment.
I love that.
Because so many people, the corporate world is absolutely perfect for them and they have so much joy within it.
Absolutely.
That's really important because what I've noticed quite a bit lately is there's quite a bit of finger pointing going on at corporate, and corporate's the reason that all of this is happening, and there's so much stress and there's so much exhaustion. But actually what I see is just as much of that in the small business environment or entrepreneurs.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Not-for-profits or all of that sort of stuff. Right. That's universal across that industry, across the board. So if you are somebody who is doing the slog in the traffic to the 9 to 5, but you love being in that environment, it gives you a buzz, it gives you a lift, then that's amazing. The corporate is not the issue. It's what you need to do within yourself to come back to who you are, know who you are, so that you can actually step forward in true health and well-being within the environment that you're in.
I love that. And I loved when I was in corporate, like when I was in DC, I thought I was like the queen of the road here. Like I really did, but we need corporate. And like you said, a lot of people, that's where they thrive. Definitely. That's the environment that they thrive. So love that advice. We need to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be chatting a bit more and putting you on the hot seat. Ooh. The Connie Pheiff Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Pheiff Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple, Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConniePheiffShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show. And we're back, and you're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show, and our unstoppable guest today is Bronwen Sciortino. Now, a little bit about her that you want to know. I always like to share a personal side. She has a very eclectic soul, and I've gotten to know this lady over the last couple of months, and let me tell you, she loves to mix things up. And if you follow her on social, which you want to make sure that you do, you're going to see some of the recipes that she shares, because she unleashes her creativity in the kitchen, also in her writing, and also on the big stage, sharing her message, and how we all can just take a little break now and then and really find that simplicity in our life. And I love working with her. We represent her through Talent Concierge, and she is an international speaker. She is rocking the stage, sharing her message about simplicity, and she's doing a lot of work in corporate. And again, she's come from that space. She understands that space, and again, understands that so many people thrive in that area, in that corporate, that they need that. And she wants to help you build that simplicity so you can survive the 9 to 5, as they say, but really go in there and just make it an exciting place for that you want to be. So Bronwen, oh my God, I seen on Facebook the other day, I look like a chocolate brownie with... I did. I was like, oh my God, look at her. She's making all this stuff. It looked yummy. So many things that you do, and you're so creative, and again, just so well-rounded with that. I mean, corporations would love to have you there and be sharing these stories with them. But I want to jump right now to Straight Talk. And this is where we put you on the hot seat, where we get to really share some of that inside scoop about your eclectic soul. So let's start with asking you to finish this sentence. I am unstoppable because
I know how to be smart with my life.
Love that. So you've been doing some really, truly amazing things, and I'm sure so many opportunities come your way. And I'm always curious to know, from our listeners and questions that they ask is, what is your process for evaluating these opportunities?
One of the things that I learned, and I probably should explain that, coming through the corporate world, I pushed myself so hard and for so long that I spectacularly broke. And I broke in a way that shattered me into a million pieces on the floor around me, and it took me years to rebuild. But through that process, I was so privileged to work with incredible people who really taught me how to understand me and what makes me tick. And as part of that, I really put together and understood my values, so the things that are so important to me, but also the things that the why around their importance to me, and because I understand those things, it is so easy now for me to see opportunities coming towards me and be able to evaluate them really quickly and know whether or not they actually match my values and what I do and don't want to be doing. And because I understand that and how important those are to me and the way that I live my life, I am so much more prepared to say thank you, but that's not the right opportunity for me right now. And I've let some pretty incredible opportunities go because there was a value that it didn't match. But what I found is there's an even more incredible opportunity that comes in behind it that's a complete match.
For sure. And I love it that you're not afraid to say no, like you said, if it's not a match. And a lot of times what happens is, like you said, incredible opportunities come our way and it's like, yes, we have to do it. But you really need to think that through. And sometimes, I know for me, I think it's come from experience as well. You know, like you said, making sure that it matches with your values, your authenticity, and where it comes from. So that was great advice for our listeners to hear that. So here's a fun one. So complete this one. Never have I ever.
Oh, okay. Never have I ever been bungee jumping.
Okay.
Now, I used to be an adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
That one just didn't make sense from a gravity point of view and what it would do to your body.
Safety point of view.
Safety is irrelevant to an adrenaline junkie, right? But that just didn't make sense. From you're upside down, you've got massive force.
Right.
What's happening to your joints and your... It just didn't make sense. So, yeah, never have I ever been bungee jumping.
Okay. Let's go with that. Oh my gosh. So this next one, a little bit more serious. And I mean, the world today, there's, oh my gosh, where do I start? There are so many things going on, again, from politics to, I mean, you name it. So what do you think? What do you believe is our greatest wound in the world today?
I think our greatest wound in the world is our inability to use love as the first filter for every situation. If you could teach everybody to view every situation in front of them every second of the day with love first, most of the issues that we have in the world would disappear.
That's beautiful. It really is. And only if we can get people to listen to the Beatles more.
Yeah, but also to know who they are. If you know who you are, you're less likely to judge. If you're less likely to judge, you're much more likely to love.
Yeah, there's so much judging going on. And I mean, I feel social media does have a lot to do with that.
It does, but also we're taught to judge. That's part of our conditioning. That's how we are taught to determine where we're at in the world. So if we can get away from that and actually use an ability to actually just discern where we're at within ourselves and our own self-development and not worry about what everyone else is doing, that changes the way that we actually view what's happening around us.
Right. Everything around us. So beautifully put. So will you ever be satisfied?
I am always satisfied, but I'm also always seeking. I have such a voracious mind and with an eclectic soul.
Right.
I'm just wanting to put my feet, my toe in the water all over the place and experience different things in different ways.
Okay.
But satisfied, I'm always satisfied, but I have this thirst for knowledge and
more.
And not so much more, just depth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So then what's next? I mean, where do you go from here? What is next for Bronwen Sciortino?
This question I always struggle with because I could say something right now and then in 5 minutes that will have changed.
That's your eclectic background. It could be in the kitchen. Next.
But it's also, I've found, since rebuilding and, within myself and actually creating this whole different environment that I exist in, I find that my life challenges come a lot more quickly and with a lot more intensity, but I move through them in a very different way. So I learn my lessons and integrate them so quickly now that my life shoots in different directions so quickly. I spend so much more time in the global environment now and I love being able to actually get in there and teach people just how easy it is to do things a little bit differently. And so for me, it seems like the theme for this year and probably moving forward is that much more that face-to-face environment. I've spent a lot of time in the virtual environment, in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, particularly with my writing and those sorts of things. But that is sort of very quickly morphing more into the face-to-face in that live environment. So that's great too, because, as an eclectic soul, I love, things to be a bit different.
Right.
There's just a sense that this is bigger than Ben-Hur for me now, and that global stage really is a much bigger environment. And, I'm ready. I'm happy to step into that environment and really truly help people, to learn that the best person they can learn from is themselves.
You said a really important thing there that I do want to repeat, is that the face-to-face conversations. I know we're virtual, we're technical. You could, you and I are talking in two different time zones. We're in different countries. I mean, that's the great part about technology. But call me old-fashioned, I still believe that there is nothing better than the simple first face-to-face conversations, getting together with somebody. And ironically, and I digress now, I was being begged to join this women's group on social media, and honestly, I tend to avoid them. And so all right, I'll join after a couple of months. Within the 2 hours, I took myself out.
Yeah, it's too much.
It was too much. But the point of it was somebody on there was upset that she had received a telephone call that day for someone that was trying to sell her something. She was upset that it was a phone call that somebody was trying to sell her something, and it wasn't something that was happening on social media.
Yeah.
And of course I replied, as I would do, I don't take a back seat. I said, but that's sales 101. It's pick up the phone and
personal
you call.
Interaction.
And you, right. And she just wasn't having it. So I was like, I'm out of here. Okay. Because I'm only going to get myself in trouble if I stay here.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is once you've actually reconnected with who you are, it's so much easier to stand in your own space. And I guess that's what we were talking about before.
Yes.
The right values match. So actually it's not the right place for me, and perfect for you to have left.
Yeah. It just wasn't the right place for me. And
you knew that because you resisted joining, right?
Right. And I knew that from the beginning.
So there is an amazing lesson in itself.
Right.
In that, trust your intuition,
Right.
Because that was telling you I don't need to go here. And then the pressure came on, and so you put your foot in there and you just went, no. A lot of people would have stayed.
Yeah, a lot of people would have, or they would have jumped on it in the first invitation, because people get very like, they want
FOMO.
me. Yes.
FOMO.
That's exactly it. It's FOMO. But I was like, no, I didn't want to go there. But like I said, it was a friend of a friend, and they kept asking me. So I was like, all right, I'll just kind of be a back door. But I can't be a back door, backseat to anything. So I'm like, okay, now I'm out of here. So you have a couple books out.
Yep.
So let our listeners know a little bit about the books, where they can get a copy, and if you can send us a copy autograph, we can get a copy out to our listeners.
Yeah, so the first book, Keep It Super Simple, that was really written as part of my recovery. So as I was going through my recovery, one of my grief counsellors identified that I was terrified of writing anything personal down. Because as a perfectionist, if I'd written anything down, it could have been used as evidence against me. Right. So I was terrified of it. And, I hope you never find yourself in counselling for, having broken yourself the way I did. But if you do ever find yourself in counselling, you'll understand very quickly that anything that they discover through that process that you are terrified of becomes homework. And so journaling for me became homework.
Okay.
And it took me 3 weeks to write one word. That's how terrified of it I was.
Wow.
And around about the same time as I started doing that process, I started putting my toe in the water to go back out into the world and just try and reassimilate into social situations.
Okay.
And I had literally dropped off the face of the earth, and people said to me, where have you been? What have you been doing? And the only thing I could really talk about without completely breaking was journaling. And as they asked me what I had been journaling about, and I started talking about things like being busy and the way that overtakes your life, comfort zones and the way that actually they're killing us, the impact of change, and what happens when you really understand change, and how that can make it so much more easy for you to step differently in life.
Okay.
They started saying to me, "Oh my goodness, you have to write a book. The world needs this. You have to write a book." And at the time, that was just so overwhelming for me because I was really fragile. And actually what it did for me was give me that sort of middle ground to come back to, because I'd come from such a highly scheduled life with every second, dedicated to something, and, directed at something. And then when I broke, the pendulum swung to the other side, and there was nothing in my life, and there was no schedule, nothing. There was nothing to look at or focus on except for myself. So this writing a book gave me a bit of a project to focus on back in the middle that gave me a bit of direction, a bit of discipline, those sorts of things. But as I went through the process of writing the book, it was actually really quite traumatic and cathartic for me. I'd write a chapter and then I'd be on the floor crying for hours, because it was releasing so much stuff.
Yes.
And then as that was published and went out into the world, it's now the feedback I'm getting on Keep It Super Simple is people don't leave home without it. They treat it like their Bible, and they don't mean that to be offensive.
No, just powerful.
Powerful. And they take it with them. And if something happens in their day, they're pulling it off the shelf or out of their bag that they're traveling with, or any of those sorts of things. And they're just, flipping to the chapter in the book that's helping them. And if there's not an answer there, it triggers when they need to go for their answer.
Okay.
So, and that's how I've ended up, I like to say I'm accidentally an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I've accidentally ended up down this pathway of speaking globally because people read the book and they want to know what's next. How else can I work with you? How else can I interact with you? What else can I, glean from your wisdom and knowledge?
Right.
So that really was the start of this whole journey for me. And then from there, my second book, The Economy of Enough, was written, and that was really kind to me. So there was no on the floor crying after writing chapters.
Oh, okay.
So it wrote itself, and people who have read the first book and then read the second, they would describe it as, the Keep It Super Simple has so much work to do in the world, but really its simple purpose was to heal me. And now it takes that, it's done that job. So now it's out there in the world and it's helping to heal other people.
The
Economy of Enough, really, its simple purpose is to heal the world. So, that's the feedback that I get from it. So it's so beautiful.
Well, where can our listeners get a copy of it?
So it's available in 170 of the world's largest online retailers, so Amazon, Book Depository, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, and you can get it in hard copy or e-copy.
Okay.
So just pretty much Google either of those two titles or my name, and you'll be able to get it in any of those places online around the world.
Okay, so let's let them know, again, the titles of the two books, and then also let them know how to spell your name so they can find you.
Yeah, so it's Keep It Super Simple.
Okay.
And The Economy of Enough.
Okay.
And Bronwen Sciortino is BronwenSciortino.
Okay, Bronwen Sciortino.
Yep.
Sciortino. So I want to make sure that you get one of her copies. And Bronwen, I want to thank you for being here. I'm so proud, not only that you're on the show, but I am just thrilled, ecstatic that we are working with you and you are here with us inside of Talent Concierge. And I just want our listeners to know, if wherever it is that you are working, whether it's at corporate or maybe you're in academia, and you see people walking around. Sometimes you could tell they're walking around almost robotic.
Yeah.
Let your people know, let your leaders know they need to bring in Bronwen Sciortino to be a speaker in your organization so people can understand that there is a different way to live. And because she has a powerful message that I know she'll be happy to share with you. So again, Bronwen, thank you for being here with us.
Thanks so much for having me on, Connie. I've loved our conversation.
Love it, love it. So everyone, thank you for being here. And that's all I got for today. I love you. I love our tribe. I love our family. Remember to keep coming back every single week. And also remember to share away so you can receive one of our many gifts. And of course, today, make sure that you're tagging Bronwen Sciortino so you can get one of her autographed books. So I'm Connie Pheiff, here, recovering corporate executive. And we are here moving ideas forward and keeping the passion of life activated. So, and if you want to be heard, if you want to be seen, you want to be advertising with us on the Connie Pheiff Show. So just head over to theconniepfeifshow.com for details. And a word from our advertisers this week. So now talking about some phenomenal authors. These two ladies, they've done it, they've seen it, they've been through it, and they write about it with humor. The ladies, better known as Jade and Well Known, and the We Thought ladies, they are publishers of the 25 Hottest Authors, Artists, and Advocates publication, which is out now on newsstands. And you can also get your virtual copy online at andwethought.com. Make sure you grab yourself a copy because I'm in there as their centerfold this month. And also make sure that you've checked out Talent Concierge, like I've mentioned, Bronwen Sciortino is represented by our organization. And if you yourself have a successful career, you're finding yourself at a crossroad, you want to get your message out, you want to share it with the world, connect with us. Go online to talentconcierge.co, register for a free consultation. I would love to have a conversation with you. And again, Talent Concierge, we are representing the world's most daring minds. And I'll just leave you with this little quote for today, brought to you by our guest, Bronwen Sciortino, which is, keep it super simple. That's it. Just keep it super simple. You're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. And remember, like what you're hearing, share it, like us, share us with your friends and colleagues. And until next time, keep moving and keep that passion of life activated. Hey, y'all, it's Connie Pheiff. Thank you for listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. Check back often. You don't want to miss any of the good stuff. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest on the show, head over to theconniepfeifshow.com to apply. While you're there, check out our amazing advertising opportunities that will put you right in front of your perfect client. I will see you over there. Do yourself a favor this week. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.